Have you ever noticed that the moment you start taking your relationship with God more seriously, that somehow that's when things they start to get a little bit harder. Not easier, but harder. And you start trying to do the right thing, right? And suddenly the same struggles that you've dealt with before that you thought you had under control, they come right back. But they come back stronger. They come back closer. They come back louder. So much so that you start to ask these questions. You start to ask, as I'm drawing closer to God, isn't life supposed to get easier? Or even worse than that? Am I doing something wrong? And honestly, that doesn't really make sense at first. Because here's the thing, you're praying more, right? You're thinking about God more. You're spending more time in the Word. So why does it feel like more pressure, more temptation, more frustration, and not less? And honestly, if you're not careful, you start pulling back. Not all at once, just little by little. You skip a prayer here, you skip spending time in the Word here, you skip including God there. Because part of you starts to believe that maybe this isn't working. But here's the reality that most people don't understand. All right? I want you to listen to this. The struggle didn't start when you got closer to God. Okay? You just stopped ignoring the struggles. Scripture doesn't hide this. I want to take a moment. I want to look at 1 Peter real quick. 1 Peter, we're going to look at 1 Peter 5:8. I want you to listen to this. 1 Peter 5:8. Be of sober spirit. Be on the alert. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. The enemy is already there. And the difference now, as you walk with God, is that you're no longer drifting. You're no longer passive. You're actually trying to walk with God. And that's what makes you intentional. And here's where it gets personal. The struggles that hit you, they're not random. They're familiar. I'm going to share this with you. Last night, I started having heart palpitations. Okay? I've had problems with my health and struggles with my health for some time now. And so I immediately went into panic mode. What's going on, you know? Then I ended up taking a panic pill. And I also went to God in prayer. And it took me a while. But God got me through it. And this morning I woke up, I was feeling like dog mess. I was dizzy, groggy. I had all these ideas for videos I wanted to do this week. Some messages that I really wanted to get out. But I was feeling like mess. Maybe I just won't do videos today. I'm going to go lay down. I was going to spend a little bit of time in my Word today. I'm going to go lay down. And I did. And as I'm laying down and I'm trying to rest, I'm trying to recuperate or whatever, I'm praying to God. God, you know, what's going on? Why am I going through this right now? Why do I feel like I feel when all I want to do is spend time in the Word. All I want to do is pray. All I want to do is make videos. Why am I going through this right now to where I don't want to do any of that stuff? And I was reminded of that verse. See, as I drew closer to God, the enemy wants to attack more. And that's what the realization came to me And I was like, you know what? That's just not going to happen. I love my relationship with God too much to allow that to happen. You see, the struggles that hit you, they're not random. They're familiar struggles. It's the same. It's the same thoughts that you've had. It's the same habits. It's the same reactions, the same frustrations. It's the same fears. Now, why is that? Well, it's because those right there are the areas that you used to handle on your own. And let's face it, the enemy doesn't need new strategies. He just needs to double down on the old ones that will work. And that's what he does. So when those struggles come back, the lie sounds like, see, nothing's changed. You're still stuck. You're still going through those health issues, right? You're not really growing. You just went to bed. And if you believe that, you don't run to God. You pull back. You go quiet. You start trying to fix yourself again. But that right there, is the trap. Because the goal was never just the struggle. No. The goal was to pull you away from walking with God. The goal is to pull you away from drawing closer to God, not by force, but by making you discouraged, disoriented, distracted, self-reliant again. Because if you go back to handling things on your own, the enemy wins. Because you're no longer walking with God. I want to take a look at another scripture real quick. Let's take a look at scripture, James chapter 4, verse 7. James chapter 4, verse 7. Listen to this. Submit therefore to God. I want to say that again. Submit therefore to God, but resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Submission comes first. Not fighting, not fixing, not controlling everything, but submission. Staying aligned with God is how you resist the devil. Staying aligned with God is the resistance. Understand that. So, what happens if you miss this? Well, you'll spend your entire walk reacting instead of recognizing, fighting symptoms instead of patterns, and getting pulled in and out of alignment. And it will feel like a cycle, because it is. It is a cycle. But when you start seeing it clearly, everything now when struggles show up, you don't panic. You recognize instead of panic. You see it for what it is. Not proof that you're failing, but proof that you're no longer passive. And instead of pulling away from God, you move toward Him again and again and again. So what does this actually look like in real life? Well, honestly, it's simple, but it's not easy. When the struggle hits, don't isolate yourself. Don't go into a spiral. Don't try to control everything. Take a moment and pause. Pause and go to God immediately. Not just once, but every time it comes up. Even if it comes up 20 times a day. Because this isn't about one perfect prayer. It's about a continuous reliance upon God. Struggles are inevitable. They always were. The difference now is that you're not facing them alone anymore. You're not walking in them alone anymore. You're not dealing with them alone anymore. And the closer that you walk with God, the less that those power of those struggles have over you. And those struggles get easier and easier to walk through. Not because they disappear, but because you stop handling them the way that you used to. And you give all the control of those struggles to God instead of you trying to fix them all the time. So if things feel harder right now, just don't assume that you're off track. You might be closer than you've ever been. Just stay alert. Stay aligned with God. And keep walking with God right through every single one of those struggles. God bless you. And have a blessed day.